My house burned down in the California wildfires. I'm covering the restaurants that were also hurt, but if you have a fire story, please share it in the comments. Let's support our strong neighborhoods.
You know, it's one thing to outlast the pandemic, it's another thing to open in it. But a restaurant that survives the Palisades Fire is surely invincible. That's the feeling I get at Chifa, that this fusion of delicious cultures is here to last. I loved my first meal, and spoilers, I'm coming back, because who else is going to hug my honorary aunt? This is Rica Leon. She's the manager here, and though the fires took her house and belongings, you'd never guess that from her presence. She treats everyone like family, and sometimes that's literal.
I wanted my children to have the immigrant work ethic experience. So we make them work with us. So they started as dishwasher, as bussers. It's been so fun as a family to be able to do this together.
Rica manages Chifa, her husband is the head chef, and her brother is a famous artist. Humberto Leon designed everything in here, from the striking green walls and cushions to the handcrafted wallpaper with no repeating lines. The restaurant's also named after him, in a way.
My mom opened a restaurant named Chifa. The Chinese characters is my brother's Chinese name. So she named the restaurant after him. And when my family and I were thinking about relaunching a Chinese Peruvian restaurant, we wanted to use the same name that my mom had for her restaurant.
This origin is just one way that Chifa pays respect to its roots. It's a story of immigrants who adapt to new homes and bring their ingredients with them. We might think of fusion restaurants as a modern invention, but Peruvians have been doing that for decades.
I would say Peruvian are the OG in terms of fusion, because they literally took all their immigrants and combined and created Peruvian food. The Chinese brought over soy sauce, vinegar, and that in a traditional Peruvian dish, lomo saltado, is because of the Chinese ingredients.
I started my meal off with the chicha morada. I really hope a native speaker will correct me on the pronunciation. Anyway, this is the Peruvian drink, and they brew it in-house. They dehydrate purple corn and cook it with cinnamon and pineapple for 7 hours. Chifa, by the way, is the only restaurant that serves sparkling chicha morada. It's light and so refreshing. Next, I got tiradito. It's kind of like sashimi, but it's coated in a tangy lemon sauce and served with toasted Peruvian corn. I love the jolts of this sour yet somehow subtle dish. Brulee char-siu is pork that's kept tender with red beet juice and a maple syrup glaze. It got to the point where I was just scarfing it down without any self-restraint. I love the edible garnishes here too. Then there's the dan dan mian. These noodles are thick, and the peanut flavors add a rich heartiness. I added some leftover lemon sauce from the tiradito, and before you say anything, the waitress told me that's what she does. I didn't even ask. She just blurted out the approval that I wanted, so I did it, and it was great. So why are you being so defensive? And finally, for the dessert, I had the famous alfajor cookies. These are a Peruvian classic, and this particular style is Rica's own recipe. The shortbread cookie takes 5 hours to bake, and the caramel filling is made in-house. The heart shape of the cookie is significant. This is the symbol of Chifa, from its windows to its merchandise. That wallpaper that I mentioned earlier, it's an original design. Rica's brother named it Heartwood. That emphasis on love is what makes the Palisades Fire so tragic.
We forgot it was our anniversary until way later. We were in shock of like, wow, our whole neighborhood is gone. We have maybe 400 to 500 homes in my little community, and I think we have 50 to 60 homes standing. Other communities just north of us are also decimated. When people were asking us like, hey, do you need a GoFundMe or whatever? And I don't need it. I feel like money can be given to other people who really need it. So a lot of people, my gardener actually also lost his house in Altadena. So we directed our supporters to go fund him, and we raised a bit of money for him. So that was amazing.
Although Rica lost her house, she didn't lose her home. Chifa is a place of gathering, of celebration. It's a Michelin Guide restaurant. And when you treat strangers like family, well, that's the kind of home I want to eat in.
And so our fear was that all of this is going to disappear.
thank you to everyone who supports me on Ko-fi and donated after I lost my home and possessions in the California wildfires. Your support makes this possible, and I'm extremely grateful. Thank you, Scouts, and I'll see you in the next video.